Hello students, welcome to our first official week of class. Hopefully all of you were able to watch the course introduction video, which I posted earlier. It is available on the announcements page here on Blackboard. You can also find it here in the course orientation folder. So if you haven't done that yet, I would recommend you start there. That video gives you a really good overview of the entirety of the course, some of the things we'll be discussing, where to find important information and those types of things. This particular video is just going to focus on what to do in our first week of class. So as part of our course orientation, I also had you post to the intro board and introduce yourself. So I hope you did that. If you didn't, please make sure you get that done this week. But what we'll be working on this week is we'll be talking in order to learn about how traits are passed on from one generation to the next, and in order to understand how we can use this universal system of DNA and genes and use it and apply it to other things, we first have to start at the very beginning. And the very beginning is cells. Okay, so this week we're going to learn what a cell is, what a cell does, how cells make copies of themselves. So potentially some review, especially maybe for those of you who've taken another biology class, for example, you'll probably remember some of this, or even for some of you, maybe it's been a while, maybe since freshman year biology that you've had this in high school. But anyway, this is just like I said, just a really kind of quick overview of some basic information about cells, because before we can understand the basic modes of inheritance and how traits are passed on, we have to understand how a cell works. So for our lecture materials this week, I have our readings, which again, just as a reminder, we're using the CK12 College Human Biology. It's an OER, which means it's completely an online educational resource. So there's nothing you need to buy, nothing you need to purchase. You just need to click here and access the links. And then I do have separate videos for these topics. So I have a video on cell structure, I have a video on cell division, and I have a video on meiosis. And so for these two particular topics, also cell division and meiosis, I also have some notes for you. So what I called guided notes. So you watch along with the video and you can sort of fill in information as you go. If you find that to be particularly helpful, that's great. If that doesn't help you and help you learn concepts, that's okay too. You're more than welcome to take your own notes from my videos. It's entirely up to you and how you'd like to work it. So this is the content that we're going to be covering. Once you're finished with the content, you can go ahead and access the assignments. So again, our assignments are these adaptive practice modules, which are once again through the CK12 Foundation. So you have to get your account for that. So the instructions on how to do that are found here in the additional information. This was in the welcome video, so I'm not going to go into it too much, but the information on what to do is right here. Once you are enrolled in the class, then what you can do is you can go ahead and access your basically profile through my class on CK12. And when you access these assignments here, I'll know that you've completed them. Okay, so if you don't sign up and you don't register, I don't know you complete them, and I have no way of verifying that. So that's why it's incredibly important that that's one of the first things you do is get yourself an account for this particular class. It's kind of like, I liken it to if you've ever used McGraw-Hill Connect or if you've ever used Mastering by Pearson. There's plenty of publishers who have sort of these online learning systems that go along with textbooks. What I like about this one is it's free, right? So we're not paying for anything. We're not paying for a book, and we're not paying for the online exercises that go with it. So bonus for all of us, right? In addition to the adaptive practice modules, you have a discussion question. So the discussion questions will link you to the discussion board. Please make sure you respond to the initial post itself, and then also reply to 2 other students. And those are 2 different parts of your discussion grades. If you need help and helpful tips on discussion, again, if you go here to the learning modules and in the orientation folder here, I gave you some examples. This was in the welcome video too. Examples of what I'm looking for when it comes to discussion boards. What's a really good response, what's an okay response, what's a not very great response, and you'll be scored accordingly. All right, so I also give you some examples there. All right, so assignments for each week, your adaptive practice modules, your discussion board post. Last but not least, we have the check-in. So the check-in is using a website called Socrative. So let me go back here to assignments. Socrative is a site that I will register you all for, so you don't have to do anything yourselves. I will do everything for you. The room name is going to be the same every single week. So it's Bio 105 W01. Every single week you're going to put in the same room. You hit join. I don't have a survey right now. It says waiting for the next activity to begin. But usually by about Wednesday of each week, I turn the survey on. Here's what's most important to remember. To access the survey, it's going to ask for your Harper username, not your Harper ID. Do not put in your Harper number, H0073819, whatever it happens to be. Don't use that. Use the first part of your Harper email address. That's your Harper username. So that's what I have you in the system as, along with your name, all right? So when I get an email that a student's like, oh, I can't access a survey, something's wrong, I ask 2 questions. Did you put in the right room number? And did you use your Harper username? Okay, those are 2 things that easily can solve just about any problem I have with accessing the Socrative quiz. It'll be simple. 3, maybe 4 questions, right? Usually I ask you a multiple choice question about something content-wise. Then I'll ask you maybe a short answer question to explain something to me that you learned. And then last but not least, I leave you room to ask me questions, okay? So if there's something that you particularly didn't understand, go ahead and ask me. And then what I will do on a weekly basis is if you come here to the discussion board, I have 2 forums. One are our weekly discussion threads. So this is where you're going to spend most of your time. And the other one is answers to Socrative questions. So if I have some answers to questions here, I'm going to create a thread for them. So in previous times, I'd had answers to, week 2 questions, week 5, week 6. Again, as long as you all are asking questions, I will put the answers here. And I usually also highlight them in my emails. So you'll hear from me 3 times a week, which might be too much, but better more than not enough. Monday, you'll get this announcement, which will be posted on our announcement page, which also will include a link to this video, as well as written information on what's due every week. On Wednesday, I'll send you an email that reminds you, hi, here's what's due this week. Make sure you get it in. And then on Sunday, which is the end of my weeks run from Monday to the next Sunday. On Sunday, I'll send you another email that says, hi, everything's due tonight. Please make sure you get it in. So that's just kind of in general the pattern of communication you can expect over this summer. I think that about does it for our first weekly announcement. As we go through week by week, if there's more information that you need, I'll include it. In general, I'll give you just a really quick overview of what we have coming up for that particular week. The other thing I'll point out very, very briefly here is I always put in some additional materials, some additional resources that I find to be helpful. So this week I have animation websites from Cells Alive, which has been around for a long time, so you're probably familiar with it. But they have really good animations that help you understand the process of mitosis and meiosis and looking at the differences. So I think it's a good resource. That's why I like to include it here. You will see the same format week by week by week. Okay, so every single week, all of my folders are laid out like this. I usually open the next week's folder the Friday before, right? So if anyone is an early bird and likes to work early on things, feel free. I'll open things up a few days early, and that way you're more than welcome to get a head start. Or if you know you've got something coming up and you're going to be really busy, give yourself a couple extra days with the content. So I'll open week 2 by Friday of this week so that you all, again, for anyone who would like to access that information early, you can. But you'll continue to see the same pattern. The same assignments each week, discussion, check-in, adaptive practice. That's not going to change. That's basically the pattern of what you're going to see every week, as well as lecture videos with notes and then additional resources. All right, so I think I covered it all this week. There's other things to share. We'll share in videos. I'll share in videos more as we get along further in the semester. Always feel free to reach out to me. Don't hesitate to ask any questions you may have, and we'll see y'all next time. Thanks.